Okay, how do you sharpen your Leatherman? My last video, I'll link to it. I told you guys don't buy that Leatherman sharper that Leatherman sells because it's garbage and it'll destroy your blades. It was interesting. People were commenting on it and going, "Why do you buy Leatherman?" Well, I like Leatherman. I don't like their sharpener. And that's just the way it is. So if you want to not destroy your Leatherman and you want to take care of it, or your other knives, you have to learn how to sharpen. That's it. These particular stones that I have here, they're from Sharpening. Give you an idea. This one's a 2000 grit. The higher the number, the finer it is. Okay? Now, what's going to happen with this, it gets addicting. I'm warning you now, it gets addicting. But let's work it from cheapest to more expensive. And why? First thing you'll need is a strop. This has a piece of leather stuck to it. It's on a piece of wood. You can make your own. And then you end up buying something like this that you spray on it, you rub it around, and it's like a sand, like a grit that goes on here. And then that's the last thing you do. And it basically helps your knife to turn the blade to be shiny, and it gets it sharper. Now, so you need a strap, no matter what, okay? Now, to be cheaper, you could go with this. This is diamond. It's got 2 grits on it, one on each side, and you could sharpen it with that. Now, if you know what you're doing, you know, it's not that difficult to do. And I've just gotten so used to it, I can feel that there is what I can feel when I move it up and down. And then you strap it, and then you're good to go. Now, if you're going to sharpen a serrated edge, which is, what is this? This is the charge. It's got a serrated ridge, and it's got a gut hook. All right. To do those, I carry 2 items. I have this particular item here. It's what I have, and these actually are very cheap. And you'll see pretty much bad reviews on all of them. So the gut hook's there, so I could go in this way to get the gut hook. And then I could, you know, get in there and sharpen that gut hook. Now, when you got your serrated edge, you'll notice one side's flat, the other side has the blade laying sideways. That's where you're going to take your blade and just start doing each one. Now, this is a much stronger grit. I think that's like a 400, and it takes off a little bit more material. Now, I also carry this one, which is made by a little better company, so it costs a little more. I think this was like 30 bucks. And this is when I get in there and then I do the final touching, is what I do. And now it really makes the serrated edge, or the gut hook, you know, very sharp is what it does. So, you can get away with just that. But if you're going to pick a stone to start, I would pick a 1000 grit. Pick these up. What I've got on here is a blue angle that has elastic around it, and it tells me what that is. Now, the nice thing about these stones, they're just wet and go. They don't have to be soaked. Your wet stones have to be soaked for half an hour. So this is a little nicer, right? So basically, you can put your knife on here. Now I know what angle I'm coming down at. And then you just, you know, put it on the angle. You know what you're doing. And bring it down. It's really easy. It's not hard when you have the proper tools, okay? And then you basically, when you're done, do it 5-10 times and then strop it, and then it'll be sharp. So the 1000 I think is around 50 bucks. So you're probably looking at, you know, $50, $80 investment to start getting into this. And when you do, you'll probably want more stones. So then you buy, you know, 1 stone here, 1 stone there. That one's a 5,000. That's a 2,000. That's an 8,000. And that's a 320. 320 will take off a lot of material very quickly. But when you start getting into 8,000, that's when you're just making the blade shiny. 5,000, you're making it shiny again. 2,000, again shiny. The 1,000 does take off some material. The 320 does take off some material. If you bought the 320 and the 1,000, well, then you're going pretty good. So why do you want the lower end stones? Well, the lower end stones take off more material. So let's say your blade, your knife, okay, it's got some chips in it. And I believe they call it reprofiling. But basically you take it and you put it on a low grade, a lower number, like a 320, and you just start sharpening, right? That's it. And it'll take up a lot of material. So sooner or later you'll get that blade the way you want it, and then you'll start moving up in the grits to basically you've now fixed it, right? Is what you've done. Now I also have small stones from Dan's Arkansas company. This is a company in Arkansas, and they cut these stones right out of the earth. These are natural stones, where these are synthetic. So literally, they cut them right out. And I've got everything from mild, medium, to hard, to, shining it up. And it's pretty amazing what I got. Like these black ones are just to really shine it up. I'd like to buy an Arkansas stone that's all black, the size of this, but they're like $300 if you get a good one. And that's the thing. Now these take oil, not water. Some people use water. I prefer to use oil. Now here's another idea. Here's a piece of leather, which is a strap that I picked up, and I haven't set it yet. I'll actually take a 2x4 or something, put glue on it, and then put it on the board. Or cut it down the middle, and then put one on one side, one on the other side. And then once you do that, you buy some of this stuff, which is like a sand grit into it, usually diamond. And then you lay it on top, and then when you strap it, well, that's what's going to make it sharper. So, and there's so many YouTube videos that show you how to do this, that there's really no reason for you not to know how. Okay, there really isn't. So why you want to buy a knife and not know how to sharpen it properly and look for some cheater way. There are a couple tools out there that work okay, but I like the stones. It's just me. I prefer them way better. But when I sit down to do this, I'm not just sharpening one Leatherman. I mean, I'm sharpening 4 or 5 Leathermans. I'm sharpening, different knives that I carry. I'll tell the wife, give me your knives, and I'll start sharpening them. It becomes a 2 or 3 hour day. And but every knife in the house is basically sharp, sharp, sharp. And a dull knife is dangerous. I get them so sharp that I can sliver a tomato, basically. And that's really convenient, is what it is. But there are so many videos on YouTube. If you look up sharpening knives, it'll just blow you away. And there's so many experts. I would consider myself an amateur still, even though I've been doing it for a few years. And compared to some of these guys I watch. It's just amazing how they have it down so good. And as you do it longer and longer, you're going to become a master one day. Some of these guys got 100 stones behind them. And I'm just like, wow. Now, once you get into it, you start to look at that, you're going, whew, that's $5,000 in stones. Is what it is. Now, at the same time, you'll be able to make money with this. You go to garage sales and you see a brick sitting there, you're going to go, you'll pick it up and look at it, and the person selling it probably has no clue. You look at them and say, I'll give you $2 for it. And you could be pretty much walking out of there with a $200 stone if you know what you're looking for. So paying attention and being educated on what this all is very smart. I bought this for like $15. This is just to hold the stone, very much like this does. And it's just extra tools, is what it is. Let me go for an overhead shot, and let me show you a little bit more how this works. All right, I'll go for an overhead shot here to give you somewhat of an idea. of what's going on, where we got the stone, we've got the angle thing, taped there. And we're going to add some water, just a little bit. We don't need very much with these stones, is what we need. And then all you got to do is put this on there. That's the wrong way. No, that's the right way. So now we know it's sitting right, And then basically, we come down. Set it on the angle, and we come down. Now this is just to show you how easy this is. Go on the other side. Again, we come down. And you're going to see, notice I got some black, so that means I took off some black paint. See that? So I probably didn't have it the right angle. Give you an idea. Now, that's with a stone, right? But let's go with a serrated edge, okay? With the charge. Now with the charge, with the serrated edge, we use that first tool I talked about, which was this one. And then we get inside here, and basically, we get inside here, and then we can see where that is, right? So then, we just kind of grind that down. Even the little ones. And you kind of work it all the way down. Now the same thing comes for that gut hook. You can get in there and get it. You see that? Now, I also run a second one, which is a finer one. This one was about $30. And that first one was like maybe $8 or $10. And this is much finer. So it really allows me to get in there and make a serrated blade a lot sharper. Now, you want to get cheap, you could go with one of these diamond ones, right? Is what you could do. And then if you know where that blade is, you can feel it. You can then sharpen on one of these if you want to go a little bit cheaper, is what you can do. Now, if this is your first time doing this, go buy some dollar knives from the dollar store, buck. Get 2 or 3 knives for $1, and then mess with it. Get yourself 1,000 grit stone, and then mess with that. But you're definitely going to need, a leather honing. And basically it's got leather, and then you add some grit to it. And then you can actually take it, and that'll help make it a lot sharper when you're going down it. Is what it does. You could always buy a piece of leather yourself, like I got here, and glue it to a board, 2x4 or whatever, and then add your stuff to the top and then use that. It's really up to you, is what you want to do. But when you have a full stone like this, compared to one of Dan's stones that I bought, which are much smaller, you see that? This is harder to control if you don't know what you're doing, okay? You would put some oil on here, and then, you would start doing it. Now, these Dan stones are natural stones, where these are synthetic stones. These would have to take more work of running your knife down them compared to a synthetic stone. But for finishing, you're really going to like that black one. But, and that's the thing. Now, when you buy those cheap stones off Amazon, you're going to find they're garbage, $20, whatever. They're actually $3 stones. You're not going to learn anything with those. I mean, you literally need to go with a proper company. And all mine, okay, so you can see, are Sharpen. And it's a ceramic whetstone. Now, it's a whetstone, but you really don't add that much water to it. It's just a couple sprays. Those cheap stones, I started with those, years ago. And I thought I knew what I was doing until I started watching other people on YouTube over 10 years ago. But I never felt so stupid in my life. I was trying to save money just like everybody else. But when you actually get Sharpen, there's a couple other ones you can pick it up. And if you start watching knife videos, you'll hear the guys talk about them. You find out which one you like. I found this to be the most bang for my buck, so I went with this one. It's what I did. But that's just me. And I like them because you get the plastic case, and this can sit on top of the plastic case when I'm actually sharpening, is what I'm doing. So here's kind of a layout, and I use these. I mean, but you'll find when you start sharpening that it gets addicting, especially when you know what you're doing. And you're going to want more stones. So when you finally get yourself a setup, it starts to get expensive, or it can be cheap. I mean, you're probably looking at $50 to do a cheap setup. You're probably looking at $150 to do a couple stones, and you don't need to do it all at the same time. You know, do a little bit of time. Like I said, you need a strap, you need a piece of leather, you know, you need a diamond sharpener, and you're pretty much on the go. I'll have some links in the bottom, and in the links, I'll try to explain each one and why I have them. But it doesn't mean you got to buy what I buy. You know, you're going to find when you start doing this that it's addicting. Oh, it's addicting. And I even have 2 more stones coming in. That's going to take 4 weeks to come in. They're coming in from Japan. And, you know, it was another $100 on stones. But just adding to my collection. You know, I don't know. It's just nice to have it if you have to reprofile. It's just nice to have it if you need to do something. Because you're not using every single stone. You know, you may use a 320, then you may jump to the 1,000, then you may jump to the 2,000. You know, when you start getting into 5,000, 8,000, that's when you're really shining your blade, the edge of your blade there, and making it look pretty, is what you're doing. So here's a little video about sharpening, so maybe it helps you to actually sharpen your Leathermans properly and stay away from that thing that Leatherman's selling. I'll catch you guys on the next one.